Well, hello everybody. Welcome into another edition of the Computer America Show. Actually, it's our pre-show, and as usual, we have a terrific show planned for you. We're going to have Mike Cermak joining us here in the first hour. Techguy.org. Yes, and we're going to be talking to him about everything and everything. Actually, Tesla's in the news. Some kid some hacker gets $3 million for a self-driving car startup hack. He's taking on Elon Musk. It's a very interesting story, and we're going to be talking to Mike about that. Of course, we'll have computer trivia.
1 minute until showtime.
Computer trivia, if Mike is so inclined to do so. He's giving me a thumbs up. And in the second hour, we're going to have computer and technology news that's brought to you by Slimware Utilities, the official optimization software of Computer America. So sit back, relax. Yeah, sit back, relax. I'm gonna beat Ben this week.
Maybe we'll have tech news if tech news has happened. That's never a guarantee.
That's true.
Maybe everyone took the day off.
Maybe, could be. Anyhow, we're gonna be starting in about 30 seconds, so enjoy the show. Yes. Do not want to click there, and I do click that. And here we go. 15 seconds. Okay, 10 seconds.
Your show will go live in 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1.
Broadcasting live, it's America's longest-running national radio talk show on computers, Computer America, hosted by national columnist Craig Crossman. Look for Craig's weekly column in your favorite newspaper. This show is being beamed nationwide at ComputerAmerica.com. Keep it here for technology news, computer products, guest interviews, and your phone calls. You're listening to Computer America.
Hello, and welcome into the Computer America Show. It's the nation's longest-running, nationally syndicated radio talk show on computers. Computer America is heard around the world and coast to coast. And I'm your host, Craig Crossman.
And I'm your co-host, Ben.
Why did you pause?
Who, me?
Yeah, you went, and I'm your co-host, Ben.
That must be lag on our side. So, yeah, thanks for pointing that out. Sometimes we don't have the most solid internet connection, so...
Evidently not.
Yeah, you know, these things happen.
It sounded like you were hesitating or for some reason.
No. Lag.
Okay.
I thought he was building up suspense.
He did. It worked.
If only I had that kind of showmanship.
Anyway, welcome into the Computer America Show. We have a terrific program planned for you. As always, in the second hour, we're going to have computer and technology news. That's brought to you by Slimware Utilities. They are the official optimization software of Computer America. And in the first hour, Techguy.org is here with us. Yes. Mike Cermak, owner-operator of Techguy, is going to be here with us talking about all kinds of cool topics. If you have a question for him, myself, Ben, give us a call. We'd love to hear from you. If you're listening to us live Monday through Friday from 3 to 5 p.m. Eastern Time, as opposed to being dead, you can give us a call. 347-884-8881. 347-884-8881. We'll get you on and get you through. If you don't want to pick up the phone and make a call, the receiver is just too heavy and you just can't do it, well, we still like to hear from you. Go to ComputerAmerica.com, any page there, any page, all right? On the upper right-hand corner, it says Submit a Question. Click it. It's a link. It'll take you to a question submission page where you can type in whatever the heck you'd like to type in. Hit the Submit button. Ben and I will see it instantly and act accordingly upon whatever it is you typed. Hopefully it's a question or a comment or a suggestion. The other thing you can do, of course, is watch the Computer America Show. We are a radio broadcast, but, you know, we also have live streaming video of our program. You can see myself, you can see Ben, you can see our guest today, Mike Cermak. And also Ben has the amazing, incredible technology to display websites, links, videos, movies, that type of thing, so you can watch what we're talking about as well. It just makes for a more interactive experience. But, of course, the best thing is we just love to hear from you. 347-884-8881 will make it happen. So, Ben, anything else you want to mention before we get started on today's show?
Anything else? No, as always, please go check out our the archives that we have, and we have lots of great guests. Just yesterday, we had good people over from from Eighth Light the game.
Mhm.
Kind of drawing a blank on it was like Red something Studios, but it was a very good interview, concerning video games and starting a new video game. But yeah, other than that, no, I think I'm good to go.
Oh yeah, absolutely. The company you were talking about was Sound. Um, oh, you're
Mhm.
right. I thought I had it in the calendar. It's not even in the calendar. It's Scarlet City.
Yeah,
Uh,
there we go.
that's it. That's the name of the company. So
They
that
were the development studio behind Aetherlight.
yes. Well, we're getting started today, and let's bring on our guest because I know that he's raring to go. And again, his name is Mike Cermak. He's the owner-operator of Techguy.org, a website dedicated to helping others with their computer problems and answering their questions. If you're looking for free technical support, well, Techguy.org is the right place for you to be. It's been around since 1896, and
Wait
Mike's
a minute.
is run completely by volunteers and paid for completely by donations, sponsors, and children of the night. Mike is also one of our Computer America correspondents who appears on every first full moon of the month. Mike, welcome to Computer America. How the heck are you?
I'm doing very well. How are you guys doing?
We're just
Have you been drinking today? It seems that my intro changed a little bit since last time.
no, you're just
There was something didn't sound quite right in there. I can't put my finger on it.
yeah.
What responsible and reasonable tech company didn't get their start in 1896? I mean, the light
This is
bulb was
true.
out. It was
Back-
exciting times.
Back when I invented the internet.
Right.
Yeah. Oh, that was you.
Yeah.
Okay. There you go.
And shortly after that, electricity.
Mm-hmm. Uh-huh.
And shortly before that, history.
So here we are, and again, I always ask Mike, is there anything you'd like to talk about, when you go on the show, and he always goes no. But he does send us some suggestions, a couple of interesting things, and we're going to be talking about the Tesla too. I know that, but I wanted to lead up this story here from CNN Money that you said you'd like to talk a little bit about. The headline here says 26-year-old hacker gets $3 million for basically self-driving a car startup. Basically, according to this, he's taking on Elon Musk. Now, that's a pretty big thing.
Yeah, it's a great headline. I'm a little bit skeptical about it. So here's the thing.
Corner.
Yeah, and of course everyone has to be compared to Elon Musk. That just makes news and makes people interested enough to read it, and it worked. I read it, but I don't see how it's really competing with Elon Musk in any way. But so what this guy is doing, he's a 26-year-old hacker. He's pretty well known in the hacking community. His name is George Hotz. I think he's from New Jersey, but I think he's on the West Coast now, maybe San Francisco. But he's known because he was one of the first people to root an iPhone so that you could actually get to the root level and do whatever you want on the iPhone. And he had a big thing with PlayStation and Sony because he figured out how to reverse engineer some of their systems. And so he certainly has a history of knowing a thing or two and has a good following. So he's decided that he wants to take. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Would you call him a gray hat or a black hat or a white hat?
From what I know about him, I'd say more white and gray.
All right.
I'm not aware of him doing anything malicious to a company. I think he's been pretty open about what he's done. Not that they've all been very happy about it, but it's not as though he was doing it in order to, cheat someone or make some money or create a virus or something like that.
Yeah, but he made $3 million anyway.
Yes, well, but on the up and up, he made $3 million. He didn't create a virus and force Sony to pay him $3 million, for example.
Got it.
So in that sense, I think he's a good guy. I think from the things I've read that he's written and seeing some interviews with him, I think he thinks very highly of himself. Not that he shouldn't, but very highly of himself. And what he says he's going to do is develop a self-driving car, just as Elon Musk and a number of other companies are trying to do. And he thinks he's going to be able to create a kit for around $1,000 to adapt some cars to be able to become self-driving. Which sounds pretty amazing, but I'm not convinced that it's going to happen. And there's a lot of reasons for that, not the least of which is liability. I mean, the making a car do self-driving is not a particularly easy thing. Even Tesla calls it autopilot, not self-driving, because they still have the expectation that someone's going to be behind the wheel and actually watching over things. You're
Right.
still responsible for what the vehicle does. Even if autopilot screws up, you're responsible to take over. And so self-driving is not an easy thing to accomplish, and even if you get it running properly 99.9% of the time, that one time a kid runs out in front of the car or something, I mean, it's that happens. So you need to spend a lot of time on those cases that don't happen that often, those outliers that seem unimportant, but statistically, given enough miles of driving, will happen. So I don't know. I think he's underestimating the complexity of it a little bit, and he's gotten a lot of press recently. CNN is just one. There's a number of them. What he has done so far is he has an Acura, 2016 Acura ILX that he bought, and he has connected computers to it, and he has a glove compartment full of computers that monitor the communication inside the car on what's called the CAM network. And then he goes out and takes a reporter out on the road and demonstrates self-driving. But what's kind of interesting is his choice of car. He picked this Camry, or excuse me, not Camry, this Acura, I believe, because it already has most of these features in it. It already has lane keeping in it. It already has the ability to keep behind a car in front of you to do radar-assisted cruise control. It already does a lot of what he was demonstrating. So it's not entirely clear to me what he's going to be doing differently using all of the cameras he's going to place around it. Perhaps take that to the next level and try and do like Google and have a truly autonomous self-driving car, which would be pretty amazing. But I mean, that's something Google's been working on for how many years, and how much money have they put into it? I don't see even $3 million getting you that far along in that.
No.
So color me skeptical, but I mean, it would be pretty amazing if you could bring any level of self-driving or autopilot or autonomous to a car for $1,000. That is amazing, but I think it's a little bit
Ambitious.
Ambitious, a little bit. Yeah, just yeah.
I definitely feel like he not that he's naive. I mean, I feel like he's probably tackling the very simple parts of an autonomous car, and that's kind of. Yeah, and I admittedly I am nowhere near an expert anywhere in this field, but I'm sure there are simple parts that include sensing when cars are near. I mean there are tons of technology that can do things like that. Sensing lanes and other things. But I mean we're seeing not just Google with their self-driving car, not just GM with their self-driving car, but it's it's BMW, it's Mercedes-Benz, it's Nissan, it's like every single large car manufacturer has their own division with hundreds of people working on self-driving, car capabilities.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's no way that so many big companies would be spending so much money if all it took was one, I'm gonna say hothead in his garage to do the exact same thing. Like I have no doubt that he could get the technology to do some of the simpler parts, but I mean, there's a lot of data crunching that you just need a lot of resources for.
Yeah, I think that perhaps people are underestimating the difficulty in going to the next phase. Like going from, we've had cruise control forever, and then to go to the next step where we have cruise control with radar. So, and a lot of, as you mentioned, a lot of new cars have that.
Actually, my old car had that. I had a 2002 Mercedes, and it had that built into the cruise control. In other words, you got too close, and it would automatically start to slow down or even brake, and you can adjust the distance of that, and that was back in 2002.
Yeah, I would venture to guess it was one of the first then, if it was in 2002.
Mm-hmm.
But today we're seeing many other car manufacturers that offer that. Most car manufacturers offer that as an option, at least on their higher-end vehicles. And then you go to the next step where they have lane keep or lane assist, where the car tries to drive down the center of the lane, or at least warns you if you try and drive outside of the lane. And then to go to the next level where it's trying to combine all that together, and like what Tesla does, where it also reads the speed limit signs and it adjusts the cruise control based on the car in front of you, and also the speed limit sign, so that if you go into a speed trap where it's suddenly 45, it'll back down your cruise control for you automatically. And then lane changing with the Tesla, you can hit the turn signal and it checks to make sure there's no cars next to you and will change lanes by itself. It's taken to the next step, which is still a long, long way from what Google was doing with an autonomous car, where it's actually completely hands off and the car is making decisions other than just stay in a lane and
Oh,
don't hit anything.
It's actually like reading signs, and it's reading like on the fly construction codes and stuff like that.
Well,
Like it's seeing everything.
That's exactly. You brought up a great point there, Ben. So the difficulty of Tesla can read speed limit signs and also has a database of it's learning what areas, what roads are what speed. But with things like the Google autonomous car, it's got to be able to read not just speed limit signs but stop signs and red lights and different types of red lights. Imagine all the different formats of red lights you've seen, whether they're hanging on a wire or up on a pole, or there's a left turn green light or a no turn on red, or a and then to get into the things like you mentioned, Ben, the temporary stuff. What if you have a police officer standing there saying to stop, or a construction flagman saying stop or yield, or slow? Just all these little variables.
Yeah, I mean, right. I mean, and that's not on any map or anything. That all of a sudden the Department of Transportation sends out a vehicle, and put some cones because they have to do something, that just came up spontaneously. That's not going to be any database necessarily. I mean, the car's got to be able to look at like a human being and say, "Oh, I got to slow down because if I don't, I'm going to run off all these cones."
That's right.
And not only that, make intelligent decisions as to should I slow, should I stop? I mean, what do I need to do? Because there's nothing that's temporary, permanent, or even temporary there. That's just at the spur of the moment.
Right.
And what Hotz is trying to do here is he's kind of shown off that his code is only about 2,000 lines long, which is very, very small in terms of a computer program. But the way he says he's doing that is he's written it as artificial intelligence, that it watches what a human does, and as it watches, it predicts what it should do. And he says, because that's what we want. We want cars to drive like humans, not to drive like some engineer says it should.
Well, no, do we? I mean,
that was my thought as well. The reporter didn't call him on that, but I thought that as well. I was like, because I've seen a lot of humans drive. I'm not convinced.
South Florida here, you have 80-some-odd-year-olds behind the wheel. I don't think.
Just a pair of knuckles.
Yeah. I'm sorry.
I think we do want an engineer and psychologists and other people making the decisions of how the best way for cars to act and make decisions, and not just do what a person what it thinks a person might do. I think that from these scenarios, a lot of them need to be planned out and take into account other things that perhaps we wouldn't. So
and one thing I wanted to mention, he's saying that in his garage he can kind of take us to the next level for hundreds of dollars or thousands of dollars instead of billions like the other car companies. One thing I wanted to mention was that Craig, you mentioned that your car back in 2002 had automatic braking with the radar and whatnot. I don't know if you guys heard about the announcement. It was a couple weeks ago by now, but they said that by 2017 they want to make every car sold in the U.S. come standard with automatic braking.
Imagine how many lives that would save. I can think of, just the people or perhaps you've been personally, involved in accidents. So many times, I can think of one recently of someone very close to me who was in a pretty bad car accident, who just, looked down for a moment, something fell on the floor, looked down for a moment, looked up, and someone was turning left in front of them and rear-ended them. Completely their fault.
Yeah.
But and emergency braking, just so everyone knows, doesn't necessarily mean it's going to avoid the accident, but it's going to be a heck of a lot better to hit that car at 10 miles per hour than at 60. It won't necessarily prevent accidents, but it's going to save lives.
Well, yeah, and according to their studies, it was something like 40% of rear-end collisions would just go away because a lot of rear-end collisions are at pretty low speeds, but if you're traveling 60, no matter how good the sensors are, you're not going to immediately stop.
Right.
So,
and that's the trouble with things like this, is that they need to be certain enough, but before the car slams on the brake, it wants to be pretty sure that you're going to be hitting something, because you don't want to be just driving down the road and the car incorrectly decide to slam on the brakes unexpectedly, because then it could create another rear-end collision the other direction.
Right.
So they need to be pretty confident before they slam on the brakes, and by that point, a lot of times, it's not going to prevent the accident, but it is going to make it a hell of a lot better than it would be otherwise.
But it totally would stop all of those scenarios where, like, you're sitting at a red light, and I've done this like a couple times, never gotten in an accident, but almost, where like you're staring at the red light and it turns green, and then you're like, okay, it should start going, and then like you hit on the gas before the person in front of you. Like they kind of don't go. Like it would prevent a lot of those fender benders that
Sure.
annoy us more than anything.
Well, and you see so many times with these rear-end collisions, whether it's on the highway or on local roads or whatever, and for whatever reason, with just someone not paying attention, or suddenly an emergency up ahead, or a left turn someone doesn't expect, and it could, it's a great thing. So I'm very happy to hear that, and that sort of technology now is not that expensive. The radar to be able to detect that there's something up ahead that's has stopped has come a long way. It's not going to be that long, 5-10 years that most cars are going to come with lane assist and the autopilot type features that Tesla offers now. That won't be unusual in the not too distant future. I just had the opportunity. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was going to say that just taking Craig's example again, some of these features that are finally becoming standard 15 years after one of the higher end cars were able to get it. Obviously technology I hope is going to develop faster and faster thanks to more competition between Google and Tesla and all that. But 5-10 years down the road, what we only see in select Teslas and higher end Mercedes-Benz and research and development Google cars, 5, 10, 15 years later, it's standard in every car.
Yeah. That's right. That's what's coming. And a lot of people aren't prepared for that. I was talking to one of my employees about the self-driving cars, whether it's autopilot from Tesla or self-driving from Google, and he says, I hate that. I hate that they're offering, autopilot now. And I said, why would you hate that? It's an option. You don't have to use it. And he says, well, I like to drive, and before too long, you're not going to be allowed to anymore.
I can, okay, if let's say people are not allowed to drive because, let's face it, they're very unsafe. They kill people. People kill people with cars. That is a very clear statistic. I feel like this is the booming industry of, oh, you want to go drive? Just like you go karting when you were a kid, now you can go to select roads and rent yourself a 1968 Mustang and go have fun. But not on public roads, folks. People got lives to live. I can see that. At some point, I think you're right that people are not going to be allowed to drive on roads. That's going to be seen as too unsafe.
They say driving is not a license is not a right. It's a
privilege.
It's a privilege. Yeah, you can't. You're not entitled to drive. It doesn't come with the Constitution of the United States. That you every American can drive a car. It doesn't work that way. And certainly there is the prospect of a future where we might no longer be allowed to drive. I mean, it's like right out of iRobot with Will Smith.
I was thinking the same thing. Yeah.
She says, "Do these things actually use gas? They explode, and she's and Will Smith on the motorbike, So.
Well, and there's the scene in iRobot where Will Smith decides he's tired of the automated driver and hits the button to be able to take over a steering wheel. It's like. Yeah. It's like, what are you doing? You're going to drive?
And on those roads too. That's did you see the roads that he's on? I mean, the cars are going.
Well, and that's the other thing with automatic, with self-driving cars. If you get to the point where the cars can talk to one another, I have predicted for a long time that around major cities where we have HOV lanes, that one day in the not too distant future, we're going to have self-driving lanes because the cars will be able to go much faster and much closer to one another and much more efficiently, without humans messing them up. So you get some HOV lanes converted to self-driving lanes, and then you've got some efficiency, and then I guess you have to take over driving once you get out of those. But I think that will be a thing.
Some states already they're already planning or building those or have built those for self-driving truckers, for the 18-wheelers and whatnot, because some of those already have essentially autopilot self-driving kind of whatnot, and they're building special lanes that normal cars can't get into and mess up the automation. And you
that's
just kind
a
of
good way to do it. Yep. And the other thing is just the safety factor if something happens to the driver. I don't know what the statistics are of the number of accidents that are caused by someone having a heart attack or diabetic attack or some other issue while they're driving, but it happens every day. And that's one of the things Elon Musk mentioned when they announced their autopilot, is that in a lot of cars that have lane keeping and all that sort of function available, you have to hold onto the steering wheel. And if you let go of the steering wheel for a period of time, then it just turns those features off and you go careening into the other lane. And Elon said that's probably not the best way to handle a driver who isn't responding. So what the Teslas do is that you have to touch the steering wheel every 3 or 4 minutes. I forget what it is. And if you don't, it'll beep. And if you don't, in a couple seconds, it'll beep twice. And then eventually, it's just beeping continuously. And if you still don't touch the steering wheel, just to let it know that you're paying attention, it'll turn on the four ways and then gradually slow you down and put the car in park.
That's very
And
nice.
while it's still steering down the lanes and driving, and I think that's such a nicer way to handle a driver who may have just died or whatever, rather than just allowing him to stay on cruise control and ram into someone at 70 miles an hour. I mean, it's just little things like that are going to add up. It's especially important if you happen to be the guy in the other car.
Yeah. Really.
I was not paying attention. Quick, think fast, and the whole autopilot. I like that.
Yeah.
I just had the opportunity over the weekend to ride in a Tesla Model S with autopilot for the first time.
Oh, tell
Mine
me
was
about
built
that.
before autopilot. Yeah. I'm so jealous. I'm so jealous. What happened is I live in a small town in Pennsylvania, and I'm the only Tesla, within 30 miles as far as I know. And one day I was at home, and my car was parked outside, plugged in, charging, and I get a knock at the door, and I open the door, and he says, "Hey, you've got a nice taste in cars." And it was not Elon Musk, unfortunately, but it was this young professional who lives in Chambersburg, the other side of the town, this little Pennsylvania town from where I live. And I look out in my driveway, and there's my white Model S, and sitting next to it is his white Model S. It's like twins sitting, and I'm like, there are two Teslas sitting in my driveway right now, and it's just the funniest thing. I was so pleased that he stopped to say hello, and and just a really nice guy. So we met up and swapped stories, and I got to check out his car. His car's year and a half newer than mine, and has all sorts of extra features, and the biggest of which is autopilot. And so he took me on some back roads where you are not meant to use autopilot, and showed me why that is the case, because it tried to make some very bad decisions. The problem is, of course, it uses cameras to try and figure out where the lanes of the road are, and if you're going up or down hills where you can't see the lane, or if you're going around sharp corners where you can't see where the lane's going to be, it's not so great at predicting where that lane is going to be when it comes over the crest of a hill, especially these little back Pennsylvania, hilly roads.
You drove off the road in his new Tesla, or what happened?
I was merely the passenger. He remained the driver. He offered to let me drive, and I was like, I want to see autopilot, and you show me how it works, because this is a brand new $100,000 car. I'll sit right over here. Thank you very much. so anyhow, but then we went on to not a highway, but a major road, Route 30 in Pennsylvania here, and went on there, and it immediately detected and showed on the screen. It shows where the lanes are, and it shows where the traffic is all around us, and even the car in front of us went from our lane into the left turn lane, and on this dashboard it showed him that car going over into the left turn lane. Like, I mean, it knew everything that was going on around us, and it was pretty impressive. And so we were driving down Route 30, and it was stopping behind cars that stopped at traffic lights, and then when the light turned green, the cars would start going, and we would start going until the next traffic light, and then it would stop behind the next, and it was just driving itself down the lane, stopping when it needed to and going when it needed to. And meanwhile,
he wasn't depressing the pedals. You mean
No, he wasn't touching the pedals. He wasn't touching the steering wheel. It was doing everything for us. And he was leaning over, and the giant touchscreen, the 17-inch touchscreen in the Tesla, he's leaning over there and showing me the new options in here, and here's where you can set this, and here's that. And I'm watching him do this, and noticing how infrequently he's looking out the front window, and just the degree to which he trusts this thing, that he's used it enough that he knows how much he can use it. I may have told you this before.
You're in the car with him, so you're trusting it as well.
That's true, yes. Well, we were relatively low speed, but that's true. Yeah, I was over Easter. We drove to Pittsburgh in my car to see family, and on the way back, we stopped at a charger in Somerset, Pennsylvania, and there was another guy there with a new Tesla with autopilot. And I said, "Tell me about it. How well does it work? How much do you use it? How much do you trust it?" And on the turnpike in Pennsylvania, I said, "How do you trust it to work on the turnpike?" And he says, "Oh yeah, I use it all up and down the turnpike, no problems at all." He says, "Whenever it drives around a big rig, whenever it's passing a big rig, I'll usually put my hand on the wheel, though." Just to be sure. And I'm like, that means that he usually doesn't have his hand on the wheel. I mean, that's when it decides to pass a big rig, I put my hand on the wheel just to be safe, Like, oh my goodness, I was so jealous. I love it. It's a really neat technology, and yeah, I'm a big fan.
Obviously.
and of course, sort of a Gen 1 kind of thing, because simply the advancement that happened in a year and a half after after you got your car.
Yeah.
Imagine what's going to come out next year with the Tesla and their autopilots and
I
whatnot.
think you're exactly right. That's what I keep telling my wife. I tell her that when the next version of the autopilot comes out, these Gen 1s are going to be much cheaper, and I'm going to buy a used one and upgrade.
I haven't checked lately, but the aftermarket for Teslas is still huge, right?
It is. It's pretty good. Yeah. They hold their value pretty well at the moment, but that's going to continue to go down as new versions of it continue to come out. And the other thing that I think is really going to hurt resale values is when the Model 3s really get out there and start pumping out, because those start at $35,000. So it's going to be hard to buy a car that's 3 years old that does the same thing for more than what you can buy a new one for.
Hmm. Did you factor that into the equation when you purchased yours, or are you just paying the price of an early adopter?
Well, you are paying the price of an early adopter, and I certainly knew that going in. And as Elon said during the Model 3 reveal, the Model S and Model X owners have paid for the Model 3 to be able to be developed. They have this. If you watch the Model 3 reveal, and for those who didn't or somehow don't know, have your head in the sand, the Tesla Model 3 was just revealed here on Thursday last week, and they showed what it's going to be and the price and a lot of the specs and so on. And during the demonstration, they talked about the big Tesla master plan, where they had the Roadster first that was super expensive and low volume, and then the Model S that was higher volume and lower price, and now they have the Model 3, and they said without those steps in between, they couldn't have gotten here. And so I like to feel like I did my small part of saving the world.
All right. Mike Cermak is here with us, saving the world and his Tesla. We're going to take a short break, and we'll continue on with him. This is the Computer America Show. We will be right back.
Oh, hi, Marty Winston with the News Tips Bulletin Review for Computer America. This time, the Seek Thermal camera for Android. If you feed your smartphone enough carrots, can you get it to see in the dark? Probably not. But plug in a Seek Thermal micro USB connected thermal imaging camera and load its free app to start seeing heat images on your smartphone screen, side by side if you like, with visible light images. You can record video or stills, but the coolest part of seeing heat is what you get to see. Warm versus hot spots on the grill, where window or door insulation is letting you down, warm wall spots that can signal electrical problems, critters in the yard, and more. Bottom line, the Seek Thermal Heat Imaging Camera for Android lets your smartphone see heat, which is a cool thing when you're being practical and hot when you're having fun. Marty Winston, News Tips Bulletin for Computer America.
Welcome back to the Computer America Show here, 33 minutes past the hour, and we have all in the first hour here, Mike Cermak, and we are talking mainly about Tesla because they're cool.
Yeah. Before we get started, I just want we got an email from a listener, and actually this is
we do that?
Yeah, we do. But his comment was during the commercial break, Hangouts didn't have any audio, and it just dawned on me.
That if you mute your Hangout,
then the audio doesn't go through. So, Jonathan, thanks for letting me know that. But and we won't make sure that won't happen again.
Way to go, Craig.
Yes, but it's good it brought to my attention because I've never muted through Hangouts. I always mute through the microphone switch. This was the one time I did it, and now I realize that's not a good thing to do. So that won't ever happen again. All right.
You guys gotta understand, there are wires running everywhere. To know what is what is impossible.
Yeah, exactly. Every possible contingency, you can't consider everything, which is true for self-driving cars too. You can't consider everything. There's always something that was unforeseeable.
And somehow a human screws it up.
Yeah.
Speaking of unforeseeable and a human screwing it up, Elon Musk announced the Model 3, and he might have screwed up by allowing cheap pre-orders because I think he hit over 200,000 pre-orders within 24 hours.
Yeah, the last count I heard was 276,000 orders as of the end of day Saturday. 276,000 people, individual cars were reserved and it is a refundable $1,000 down. So whether or not those are all going to turn into actual orders is yet to be seen. I certainly put my $1,000 down just to be able to have the option, and we will see what happens. I'm pretty excited about that. And so it was pretty surprising how quickly it's been catching on and how many people have put down money. It's much more than what Tesla expected, and Elon's even come out and said that they're going to have to reconsider how they were going to ramp up production because they're having so many more people sign up for it than what they anticipated. And a lot of them have been signed up before anyone even saw the car. 100 and some thousand people put down $1,000 to reserve the car before they even knew what it looked like.
Well, and I think that just went to show that Tesla is in such a demand, but not everyone can budget for a $70,000 car, $80,000 car, $100,000 car. But as soon as it became quote unquote affordable, I mean, it's not the lowest of the low end car prices, but as soon as it became quote unquote affordable for a lot of people, they jumped.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I think they did a lot of things right with Model 3. I'm really impressed with it. It's, for those who don't know already, it starts at $35,000 before any tax credits. As of right now, there is $7,500 federal tax credit that some people can take advantage of, and in a lot of states there's additional tax credits you can take advantage of as well. It goes 215 miles on one charge. It goes 0 to 60 in less than 6 seconds, and they said there's going to be other variants, other options available for the Model 3 to make it even faster. Seating for 5 adults. So then we get into the controversial things. In the Tesla forums, everyone is talking about these last two items. There's supercharging and there's autopilot. And Elon seems to have chosen his words very carefully when he discussed both of them. They said that autopilot hardware will come standard in all Model 3s, just like they do in Model S's. And what that means is that the safety features like emergency braking is there automatically with all base models. And what we believe that means when he says automatic, that safety features and autopilot hardware will be standard is that just like the Model S, there's an upgrade fee for the autopilot convenience features where it does lane keeping and just drives on its own. So we pretty much expect that to be the same with the 3 as it is with the S. With the Model S right now, all of them come with safety features that it'll do emergency braking. If you want the self-driving features, you have to pay an extra $3,000. Actually, I think it's $2,500 now for the autopilot features. So we expect something similar to that for Model 3, that they'll have an upgrade.
Is that software equipment? Is that something they just turn on? It's already
Yes,
there. They're just gonna
that's exactly right, and which makes it a little controversial. I was just talking to someone the other day about that. That all they do is literally push a button in Fremont, and it turns those features on your car. And for
Oh,
three.
I'm sorry, but that just rubs me the wrong way. You know.
Yeah, so the other person I was talking to felt the same way as you do, Craig, but I can understand it. I mean, first of all, as far as the manufacturing standpoint goes, it's much easier to build these cars with those sensors on there. And the sensors are cheap. You know, you're talking about, these little radar sensors and proximity sensors that cost next to nothing when you're building a car to install, but would be a real pain in the butt to try and install after the fact. And so it makes sense to just have, fewer SKUs and just say all the cars have this, these hardware, these sensors in it. And if you want this advanced software that we have spent millions of dollars developing, you just pay us an extra, $2,500, and we'll go ahead and turn on that software for you. I don't think that's unreasonable. I get where they're coming from with that.
Yeah, but let's look at both sides. I mean, you've bought something. It's not like they're adding something physical to the car.
That's correct.
We had to put additional sensors. I mean, whatever it might. No, this is a software thing. I mean, it's just a software.
Should you not have to pay for software?
But the
Does software not have a value?
It's already in there. They're just switch. They're not even downloading a different operating system. It's already in there. Just say it's true or false. We're turning this on and we're turning it off.
Is it not like Windows Home versus Windows Business versus Windows Super Duper version? It's kind of the same thing. It's just what level of features are you willing to pay for, and that helps them to be able to develop that sort of technology. I mean, someone's got to pay for it. So I think it makes some sense. But you're absolutely right. You're not physically getting anything, and it's the same thing with supercharging. When Tesla Model S first came out, the sedan that I have, they had a 60 kilowatt hour version that did not include supercharging, but you could pay an extra couple of grand to have that turned on. Whereas one of the benefits of buying an 85 kilowatt hour battery was that it came with supercharging abilities. And supercharging is, of course, the ability to use the infrastructure that Tesla has built of these thousands of supercharging stations around highways that you can go in and plug in and get 150 miles in 20 minutes or more if you stay longer. And that's how you can actually do long distance travel with an electric car.
Yeah.
And so that's the other thing that we're wondering about with the Model 3 is they announced that it will be supercharger capable. Does that mean it's going to be free like it is with the Model S, or does that mean that you're going to have to pay an upgrade fee to use it like it was with the 60? Or does that mean you're going to pay every time you use it? We don't know exactly how that's going to work out yet, and they haven't really commented on it. So that's yet to be seen, but it will be capable of using the superchargers, which is a big thing. And I'm excited to see what they do with that, because right now, if you're looking at any electric car on the market, any whatsoever, if you want to do long-distance travel, you have to get a Tesla. There's no other option right now, and it's unfortunate that that's the case because that's slowing the adoption of electric cars, but no one else has the infrastructure like they do. There's lots of chargers that lots of cars can use, but to actually charge fast enough to use it on a road trip and not overnight, Tesla's the only way to go right now.
You think that's going to change, or you think he's going to be the only guy in town?
I hope that it will change. What I think is probably more likely to happen is that Tesla has said in the past that they're willing to open their infrastructure up to other car manufacturers, that if some other manufacturer wants to use their superchargers, they'll allow them to, but that manufacturer has to pay for their share of the electrical use, and that the car has to be capable of receiving the full speed charge from a supercharger, because they don't want a car sitting there for 3 hours charging, because most batteries aren't capable of receiving that much power that fast.
Right.
So they said if someone else will build a car that can accept the speed of a supercharger and they're willing to pay for the use of it, that they would open that up for use. So I think that will happen. I think that there will be manufacturers that will allow that to happen. Although, honestly, I'm a little surprised that some of these other manufacturers haven't already used their network of resellers, of dealerships to do that. I mean, they have, like, if you look at Nissan or GM or some of these others, they have dealers, in every little town or several in some towns. It's not as convenient as stopping at a supercharger, which is usually located at a mall or something like that. I'd rather spend my half hour at a mall than I would at a dealership, but they already have the property there. So I'm a little surprised that Nissan hasn't said, all right, all dealerships put in these fast chargers, we'll pay a share of it, or however they want to work it out, and they could instantly have a pretty huge infrastructure for charging out there. Yeah. But they really haven't done that, and it's kind of surprised me.
I can completely understand why they haven't. I mean, to be as nimble as Tesla, like the fact that Tesla is, kind of did get its start with the electric cars, and it is doing a lot of things very, very differently than any other car manufacturing company because they're kind of skirting that line. Like they don't have to sell through
Dealerships.
dealerships. They can sell directly to consumers. Like Tesla being nimble and installing these things wherever they want is much different than someone like Nissan or whatever that has an entire business model that includes the entire I'm going to say old, but that includes the entire gas line of cars.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just can't
Also
adapt that
cars.
fast.
Oh, yeah, but they should be able to. Like, it shouldn't be. And out of a company, I don't want to pick on Nissan because they are one of the only companies really taking electric cars seriously other than Tesla. I love the Nissan Leaf. I think Nissan's probably in a better position to fight Tesla than anyone else. But why wouldn't they just take a small percent of their budget and just put chargers at every dealership, and then they could have the infrastructure to be able to compete with someone like Tesla? I don't get it.
Here's another comment from a listener again. He says, unless they're actually installing the software when you pay the fee, he's talking about the upgrade fee to turn on these things. He says, I'm sure someone will figure out how to hack that feature and turn it on without the fee.
I bet George Hotz could do it.
Yeah, exactly.
The guy building his own autopilot, I bet he could do it. It's interesting. There was a guy who was, I don't want to say hacking, but was exploring, is that a nice way to put it? Was exploring his Model S and found the network connections between the different components and started finding IP addresses of them and MAC addresses and what ports were open on different devices, and it was very interesting, and he was posting this information as he discovered it, and then he posted, so I got a phone call from Tesla asking me to stop poking around in the network. So you're in the license agreement for the car, because of course there is a license agreement for an electric car. It says no reverse engineering, just as a lot of things do, and so they were going to void his warranty if he kept messing around with things.
So he stopped doing it?
To my knowledge, at least publicly, I think he stopped doing it. Although Tesla can keep a pretty close eye on what's happening inside the car. They can keep logs on everything.
It's like a little slap on the wrist,
Yeah, that's right. There was a guy who sued Tesla back, I don't know, 3 or 4 years ago under the Lemon Law, saying he kept having problems with his Tesla, and he had this bigwig attorney who's famous for Lemon Law lawsuits, and claiming that there was several problems with this Tesla that they wouldn't fix and couldn't fix, and one of them was that this fuse kept blowing, and that it had to be replaced time and time and time again. And then eventually, this fuse is located in the frunk of the car. You open the frunk and you pull out this plastic thing, and the fuse is in there. And Tesla noticed that every time this fuse blew, it was a couple of minutes after the frunk was opened. and so they put this tape over it, this
right,
like warranty types of tape, that's evident. What do they call that when you can tell that it's been removed?
Anti-tamper.
Tamper evident tape over the section where this fuse is, and then suddenly the problem went away. It's like, the fact that they can see that sort of thing is just like it's a little scary, but a little bit nice too, because then if you have a problem, they can see and fix a lot of things remotely.
Yeah, exactly.
It's the future, Craig.
Yeah, I know. I'm not disagreeing. I am not disagreeing. Listen, are we going to have the time to do anything more, or do we need? Or do you have a trivia?
I am ready to jump into the trivia. Are you ready? Have you studied?
Yes, I have my Google page.
I was just thumbing through the encyclopedia. I made it to AB, so I think I'm good.
I have Google screen all ready to go.
You're not supposed to admit to that, Craig. Do you guys remember who won last time? I forgot to look up and check.
I think Craig did.
I think Craig did too. So Craig, you're going to go first on this next one.
All right.
So as usual, we've got 7 questions, trivia questions, closest to the pin sort of thing, and we'll see who knows the most about. You want to guess my topic for the quiz today? Go ahead, take a wild guess.
Tesla.
Yeah, the Tesla Model 3. No points awarded for that, by the way.
Probably
so question.
Website off.
Yeah, good call there, Ben. The Tesla Model 3. All right, Craig, you're going to be up first.
Okay.
Tesla just unveiled the Model 3. It's the 3rd generation car, but it's not their 3rd model. How many models are there on the road?
Okay.
And I'm not talking about, just to clarify, I'm not talking about different trims, but actual models, like Model S and Model X and so on.
Well, there was the S, there was the Model X, the SUV crossover. I said 1, 2, 3. Uh, um, I will say 5.
That was
And
anticlimactic. And,
he sounds so confident.
I don't know. Does this include Model 3? Or are
It
we
would,
not counting that one?
it would not include Model 3. So, Craig, you may change your answer if that wasn't clear. No, this is just the models that have already been released to
All
the
right.
public.
I'd say
So,
5.
Yeah,
Also-
okay, so Craig says 5, and unfortunately, I'm gonna have to go somewhere pretty close to that because, like you said, the Roadster, the S, and the X. Not sure if you count like the S90D or whatever they call it, but I'm gonna say 4, just so I'm not, with Craig.
That's always a good guideline in life, not to be
Right.
directly with Craig. You are closest. The correct answer is 3. You named them: the Roadster, the S, and the X. Those
Oh,
are the 3 models.
I thought there was one more they were hiding.
That's what I was trying to make you think, so I succeeded in making you wonder. The Tesla stock has increased by what % since Thursday, Benjamin? Since Thursday,
Oh man,
Tesla stock has increased by what %?
I mean, Tesla was already a hot ticket, and then I'm sure after seeing such the demand for their new mid-range car, I'm gonna say increase by percentage, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, by percentage. I'm gonna say they went up by 18%.
Oh no, I think they went up more like something lower. I would go like about.
More by like something lower. Okay.
No,
The same
no.
thing. More or lower.
Well, I would say 18. I go 17, but I'll just say 10%.
I like that you're giving some wiggle room in there. The
Sporting,
correct answer,
sporting.
believe it or not, is 17%.
Oh, Craig.
Oh, I should have done the one down. Darn.
So that goes to Ben. Ben was only 1 off. That is pretty incredible.
Yeah.
He's been 1 off for the first 2. If you keep up this streak, I'll be quite impressed.
Well, like the reason I thought 18% is because they after every announcement that Tesla has made, through the power walls and the demand that they had for that, the new Tesla models that they have, crazy and the fact that it's run by Elon Musk. I mean, I didn't think it would be I didn't think it'd be like 30 or 40% because Tesla's, I don't want to say overvalued, but is really really valued already. So it can't increase it by too much. But that was a lot of demand.
Yep. Yeah, and honestly, 17% in the matter of a couple of days is impressive for any stock. I mean, there's a lot of people quite happy with that, I'm sure. The name Model 3 was first announced on Elon Musk's Twitter account on what day? You can give me a year if you like, unless you both picked the same year.
Could you say that?
And this will go to Ben.
Yeah. Could you repeat the question?
Sure. We first heard the name Model 3. It was first announced that the new car was going to be called Model 3 via Elon Musk's Twitter account. And when was that? When did we first hear that through Elon Musk's Twitter account, that the new car would be called the Model 3?
Oh, man. Elon Musk, I'm sure, has all this crap planned out. He's probably sitting there in 5th grade writing out his roadmap for Tesla. He's a weird guy. I'm going to say the first time we heard it was in 2013.
And Craig?
2014, just to play the game.
I like that. The correct answer is 2014. July of 2014 is when we first heard that it was going to be the Model 3. So that point goes to Craig. So we're 2 to Ben and 1 for Craig. And going into question 4 of 7, the Model 3 was actually supposed to be called, do you guys know what it was originally going to be called?
Model 2.5?
Model P?
Good guess. It was originally going to be the Model E.
Model E.
They had, and the joke was, and Elon confirmed this, that he wanted to have a Model S and a Model E and a Model X. You can think about that for as long as it takes. And the Model 3 was originally supposed to be called the Model E, but Ford objected to it because it was too similar to Model T. In what year did the Model T first come out from Ford? And this is to Craig.
Again, with the history buffs.
Craig, when did you first buy your Model T? What was
Bite me.
that?
I'll say 1908. Okay.
And Benjamin?
I kid you not. I was just thinking 1908. Freaky.
My single life. I know I thought I was born in 1905, and I remember him talking about it, so that's why I picked 1908.
Right. Yeah. And back when I was in 1905, all the way. No, like in my head, I was going back from like World War One. I was like, okay, World War One, 1914, 1918, and they had to repurpose all the Model Ts for tanks, and they had to use the production lines.
Wow.
So
There's a lot of thinking going into this.
I know. So I'm gonna go with see, I want to say 1908. That's so unfair. 1904.
1904. Okay.
Oh, and I'm sorry, Ben. I'm sorry to tell you, Craig was correct. It is 1908.
See,
You
but
know,
you
it's
can't
the
pick
luck
the
of the
same
draw.
one.
That's just the way it works.
Yeah.
So going into question 5 here, we're tied 2-2.
Right.
So for Craig, you get to go first again. Over 14 million Model T Fords were built before production ended in 1927. How much did a 1927 Model T cost new?
Wow. I would say the Model T. How much?
Yeah, they built over 14 million of them and ended production in 1927. How much did a new 1927 Model T cost?
A new 1908 or
1927.
Yep,
Model.
1927, the last production year.
Oh, okay.
In 1927.
I would say the dollar. You have to figure out the dollar of what it was. I'll say $400.
$400.
Uh-huh.
Really? So yeah. So Craig would not buy that for $1. Okay. No. Let's see. Roaring
I'll give you a
20s,
hint.
everyone was happy, fat and happy. They're all making big fat paychecks. If you're gonna have a car, it was a good time to have one. I'm gonna say $1,300. It was an expensive car.
Oh, all right.
Good guesses. The correct answer was $360.
What?
Oh,
Right? $360. Point goes to Craig, which blew me away. 1927, $360 car. I mean, they were mass produced, but
dollar went a lot further back then.
yeah, that's right. That's right. Especially in the 20s, I suppose.
Yeah.
So our score is 3 for Ben and 3 for Craig and 2 for Ben. So question number 6. We've only got 2 questions left. Elon has promised to double the number of superchargers worldwide by the end of next year. How many are there today? And again, this is for Craig to answer first.
I would say the number of the that he's gonna actually be making.
No. How many are there available today?
The number of supercharger stations. They said they're going to double the number of supercharger stations by the end of next year. How many are there today worldwide?
Okay. I'd say, wow, maybe 600. I'll say 600.
And Ben?
I'm gonna go with 800. Yeah, that seems like a good number. I was gonna go 1,300 again and be like, oh, see, my answer sheet was off by 1. But something a little bit more conservative. 800. Don't get crazy, Ben.
I like that. The correct answer was 3,600.
Wow.
3,608 superchargers worldwide today, and they plan to double that by the end of next year.
All right.
So that point goes to Ben, which means we are tied 3-3.
Oh no!
Pretty exciting stuff. Our last question. Are you guys prepared?
Yeah.
I'm ready.
This is going to go to Ben first. The record for the longest distance driven on a single charge in a Model S was achieved in August 2015 in Norway. They turned off the air conditioning and they drove slowly, but they managed to go how many miles in just one charge?
It doesn't say downhill or uphill, but I assume they started the mountain, they pushed it, and then
That's a good point. If you could find a long enough downhill slope.
Oh, it'd go forever.
And this
All right, so
is the Model S, right? Yeah.
Model S, that's right.
Model S, and those things have a range of like, I would say like 300 something like that. But I mean, if you're stretching it and in ideal conditions, I'm gonna say they managed to send that thing 500 miles.
500 miles. And Craig?
Well, I have to go 499. I'm gonna go a little lower. I don't know how much lower, but I'll go 499.
There's the Craig we know and love. The correct answer is they went 453 miles.
Oh, I was gonna say
Charge.
450.
Your answer sheet was just a little bit off this time, Ben. That's probably my fault. I probably sent it to you in the wrong format.
You sent JPEG. It's way too distorted.
So
Use
who
a higher resolution answer sheet,
So who wins?
So
Craig
that
wins.
is Craig. Craig wins 4-3. And there are all of Craig's friends.
All right. Well, that's 2 in a row. My goodness.
You're on a new streak, Ben. You'll have to watch out. Yeah, after another 10 of these, he's going to be right on your heels.
Yeah, I know. And then my, I don't know, what's the prize with? Like a trophy, loyalty card? I don't know.
Tesla.
A picture of a Tesla, I think. A JPEG, a really fuzzy, low-resolution picture of a JPEG, of a Tesla.
Hey, Mike, we're pretty much out of time. Again, techguy.org is the website to go visit. Mike will be here again next month at the full moon, and or the first Wednesday of the month, whichever one occurs first. Thank you for being here with us. It's always a lot of fun. And
My pleasure, guys.
yeah, exactly. And we'll keep that August in mind, okay? But we have some time before that happens.
10-4.
Mike Cermak, owner operator techguy.org. Thank you for being here with us on Computer America today. Thanks,
Have
Mike.
a good one, guys. Take care.
Have a good one.
All right, bye-bye. All right, here we go. We got computer and technology news brought to you by Slimware Utilities coming up in the second hour of the show. And we got some great stories coming up, too. Maybe Tesla is one of them. Who knows? We'll be right back in a moment. Stay with us.
Broadcasting live. It's the only national radio talk show on computers to air every weeknight. Computer America. Hosted by national columnist Craig Crossman. The first hour's behind us, but there's still more of tech news, tech talk, and your phone calls. We're being beamed nationwide at ComputerAmerica.com. You got computer problems? Bring them on. You're listening to Computer America. Computers run the world, and we run computers. Call us or send us an email to live@computeramerica.com.
Hello and welcome into hour 2 of the nation's longest-running, nationally syndicated radio talk show on computers. This is the Computer America Show, and I'm your host, Craig Crossman.
And I'm your co-host, Ben.
And we just had Mike Cermak on the show. It's he really is a lot of fun. We have some of our correspondents that I have to say really do a terrific job for us here in Computer America, and they're always so much fun.
Crowd
Mike
pleaser.
yeah, exactly. Nathan Evans, managing editor of Pop Czar magazine, is another one. Just a fun guy, and always has a lot of fun things that he does with us, and it just makes it very enjoyable. And we have correspondents who usually appear on a regular basis like that, and it's always a pleasure having them there here on the program.
For any correspondent who did not just hear their name, step up your game.
No, we're not saying anything bad about it. All of our correspondents, we really do like them, and they do a terrific job for us here. We got Josh Boykin coming on next week on our Gamer Tuesday. Sandy Berger, our consumer electronics expert. All of them. We have Marcel Gagne, who is our Linux correspondent. If you want to know who they are, just head over to ComputerAmerica.com and go to our public calendar page, and you can see who's going to be coming on the show and talking about what topics. It's all there up for you to see at ComputerAmerica.com. Remember, everything happening about the show is at ComputerAmerica.com because it is the home of our radio broadcast. Okay, so that said, we're going to do some computer news stories. We got a whole bunch of them that are on the a lot of interesting stories coming up. Again, if you have a comment or a question for us, again, we'd love to hear from you. 347-884-8881, 347-884-8881. We'll trying to get you there. We leave the phone lines open in case you do have a question for us. We would love to answer that. Or head over to ComputerAmerica.com on the upper right-hand corner of any page. click the submit a question. Just follow the instructions, and Ben and I will see your comment or question as well. Anything else you want to mention? Oh, again, I should mention our Logitech contest is in full swing. If you haven't registered for a Logitech contest, you really should get your entry in by just going to computeramerica.com and participating in the contest page, which is again right under the Interact pull-down menu, social media contests. You'll see there that we're giving away the a Logitech MX Anywhere 2 wireless mouse valued at $80. We're giving that away. I believe this is going to be the last week we're going to be giving that mouse away, and then we're going to be giving away another new prize from Logitech. We're just kind of mixing them up, getting new different prizes for you to win. Again, we have all the different social media locations: Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest, Google+, YouTube. Just follow or like any of those pages. Each one counts for an individual entry, up to 5 of them every single week. You only have to do it once, and then you have that many number of entries every single week to win one of the great prizes that we give away from Logitech. Okay. Anything else you want to mention before we move forward here, Ben?
Anything else to mention? No. I think first hour was a lot of fun. But anything else? No, I think we're good.
Okay, well, let's do some computer news, and right now, let's get started. Today's computer and technology news is brought to you by Slimware Utilities, the official optimization software of Computer America. You can visit them at slimwareutilities.com to clean, speed up, and optimize your Windows system. Check them out, slimwareutilities.com. You'll be very happy that you did. You'll thank us for it. slimwareutilities.com.
All right, so I say we kick this off with something a little dystopian. Admittedly, it's not babies yet, but it is puppies and dogs, to be specific. And here we have a story from CNET and author Katie Collins. But compulsory doggy microchipping comes into force in the UK.
Wow.
So she's saying that dog owners should pause to read this. The law now requires all dogs to be microchipped.
Really?
So
that's a good thing. I like that. That's wonderful. Yeah.
And you got to figure it's cheap enough by now. I mean, the chips are almost very, very cheap. But all of the UK's dogs are getting chips, and of course, it's not a dog treat. As of Wednesday, all dogs from the age of 8 weeks on must be microchipped by law. Behind the legislation is the hope that more strays and lost dogs in the future will be able to be reunited with their owners. So, if police find dogs that do not have microchips, they will give the owners a short period of time to ensure that they get them injected with chips, which are about the size of a grain of rice. But seriously, not invasive surgery at all. Like, it's seriously, they put it at like the tip of a needle, and it's kind of like getting a shot. And it takes like 2 seconds. It's really, really, really low stress for animals. So owners of the dogs who still do not comply with the law may be fined up to €500.
No, pounds. Pounds.
I'm sorry. Pounds.
That's almost like $1,000. Wow.
I don't know if the pound is 2 to 1.
Well, but it's
cheaper than that. But anyways, so every year more than 102,000 dogs are picked up on British streets after being lost or stolen. And a lot of which costs charities and local authorities about $33 million. So enforced microchipping of dogs will hopefully reduce the number of strays, discourage irresponsible ownership, and save councils money on providing kennel accommodations for unclaimed dogs.
By the way, 1,000 pounds is $1,412.04.
Okay, so 500 pounds would be about $700.
Yeah, you're right. So that'd be about. Let me see.
So definitely not a 2 to 1, but
$6.27. Yes.
Right. So, Northern Ireland, which already has a law in place, has seen a decrease in the number of strays, lost and abandoned dogs, according to their Department of Environment, Food, and Rural Affairs.
It's working. That's good. That's good.
And this is in Northern Ireland.
Yeah.
So in the UK, this is something new, but in other places, it has worked well. The majority of British dog owners, 86% in total, already have their dogs microchipped and in a national database, which makes it easy to return them if they wander too far from home. Animal welfare charity Dogs Trust has said it had about 1,400 inquiries about microchipping before the law came into force. So they're doing, and they have a quote here saying that they're doing so not just because it will become a legal requirement, but because they see it as the best means by which to reunite the dog should it be lost or stolen. Dogs Trust has long campaigned for the change in the law, and we are thrilled that we have been able to help thousands of people across the UK get their dogs chipped. And
that charity is evidently going to be offering free microchipping by appointment of all of its rehoming centers. That's
right.
Nice. Yeah. So.
Yeah, and I know that I've owned dogs for many years, and microchipping, luckily, never had to use it. But just knowing that it's there, and in case the dog ever does get out, like I actually had one of my dogs almost jump out of the car while I was going to go pump gas in Georgia, and I don't live in Georgia, so if the dog jumped out of the car and ran away, there would be no way for me to get my dog back. But that's the great thing about chips, is that if there's a national database, if they have that chip and they scan it, you could lose it. And this is here in the U.S., of course, but you could scan it in Georgia, you can scan it in in California, in Wyoming, whatever state you may find yourself in. You will be able to get your dog back. Chipping is just a great thing. It's very cheap and affordable to do, and it's really the best way to get people reconnected back with their lost and abandoned pets.
Yeah.
So
it's
I'm having a real hard time seeing the downside to this.
There is none.
Other than some people may say, well, I don't want the government to tell me what to do. But in the UK, socialism is more accepted, and chipping your dogs, if for anything else, is very effective.
Yeah,
so
absolutely, I agree with you 1,000%. All right, for all you gamers out there, you have a pair of dice. Each die has 6 sides. Number 1 to 6. Well, evidently, gamers couldn't leave well enough alone, because evidently they came out with a standard 7-sided dice for Dungeons and Dragons, and then they came with
I think everyone out there who's played Dungeons and Dragons is the 32-sided dice, the 3-sided dice, the 16-sided dice.
Yeah,
everything you need that.
Yeah, the D12, a 12-sided, even a 20-sided die, and even that goofy 10-sided percentile die. Well, evidently, according to our this author Amanda Kuster from CNET, you can throw them all away and put your order in for Dice Labs D120. This is a 120-sided die, single die. Has 120 sides to it. They're calling it the first mass-produced, injected, molded 120-sided die. Now, the concept of this monster has been around thanks to a 120-face geometric pattern. I don't know if I can pronounce this. Called a diaxis trichontahedron. Good grief. That uses an elongated...
Diaxis trichontahedron. That is hard. Trichontahedron.
I can't even say that once, alone 3 times so rapidly. That uses an elongated triangle for each face. So while there have been some 3D printed attempts, it's been very hard to get your hands on a D120 until now. So there you go. It's the Dice Labs is pretty substantial for a die. It has a diameter of 2 inches, weighs over 3 ounces. It's available in red, black, green, blue, and white. And a single die costs $12. Hey, that's not bad. And Dice Lab expects to have stock available within a month. And what game are you going to use this for? What game uses a 120-sided die?
Dungeons and Dragons.
Dungeons and Dragons. Okay.
Because I know that when you get a little bit further into your campaigns, sometimes you have to roll 3 d20s or roll so this and that. I mean, just more possibilities leads to a lot more interesting game.
Well, there's a quote here. They say, he says, I think it will mostly be interesting for the novelty of having the largest die around, They can also be used as a stand-in for all other standard dice. Okay, this is again from the Dice Labs CEO. He says the D120 can be divided up to take on the rolls of your other die. For example, you could break it into groups of 20 numbers and assign each set to a 1 through 6 roll to take the place of a 6-sided dice. If you only get one die to take with you to a desert island, then you should choose the D120.
Also, because it can be used as a weapon.
Weapon, right? You might end up playing Dungeons and Dragons with a printed volleyball head, but at least you'll be playing Dungeons and Dragons. So there it is. A D120 die. It looks like a large ball, but it has 120 sides, and it works. There you go.
He makes a good point because obviously it's divisible by all the others, and you could probably do some finagling to make it work like any of the other dice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
it could be exactly
smart stuff.
Possibilities.
Right. Oh, and by the way, when we do computer technology news here, we're actually going to invite him on the show here in a second. But not this second, but here in a bit. But we get we kind of pull news stories from all over the web, and try to get the freshest stuff and whatnot. But one of our favorite publications is the folks over at Maxim PC.
Yeah.
If you have heard the name Paul Lilly on the show before, it's because he does a lot of writing, and really do like his stuff. And one thing I just noticed that for anyone out there, Maxim PC, it's a name that's been around in tech journalism for a long, long time, but they seem to have joined forces in some manner with the publication PC Gamer.
Wow.
So if you try to go to maximpc.com, and Maxim PC was what do you call it? They were a magazine for the longest time. You could find them on the bookshelf in Barnes & Noble and whatnot. But they are now partnered with PC Gamer. If you try to go to maximpc.com, you will now be taken instead to the PC Gamer website. So don't be freaked out by that, like I was.
No.
It was weird. After a couple days, it's like, oh, check that out. Interesting. Yeah. So, but this one coming from PC Gamer now, and Jared Walton, and this is a piece of hardware called NVIDIA drops the Pascal bomb as a Tesla P100. And this is a piece of hardware. It's not exactly for consumers right now, but it's definitely an impressive piece of hardware. So, and going into the article is saying that we've known the name of NVIDIA's next generation architecture for some time, which is of course Pascal. Everything beyond that has largely consisted of speculation. And today, the CEO of NVIDIA has revealed some of the first details of the hardware. If you were hoping to see the GPU launch first for consumers, followed by the professional versions later, well, that probably won't happen. But for now, NVIDIA is taking a few higher level details, and the Halo P100 product is shaping up to be an absolute monster. So what you need to understand first is that the P100 is apparently going all in on deep learning, which may or may not see use limited to Tesla and Quadro products. So things like the NVLink and which is a high-speed bus linking multiple GPUs together, may not be needed. But even Pascal is focused more on deep learning and supercomputer applications. That doesn't mean it won't be an awesome gaming chip, because just like we said the other day, if it performs 170 teraflops, that is definitely a lot of computing power that any gaming system would definitely take advantage of, or at least would like to.
Mm-hmm.
So, getting into some of the nitty gritty, they're saying that a fully enabled P100 has 60 SMs, giving a potential 3,840 cores. But the Tesla P100 disabled 4 SMs gives it about 3,584 total cores. I want to say the Titan has just over 3,000 cores. So this thing is like, even a head and shoulders above a Titan X. So, this thing is going to be completely crazy.
Yeah, which is really saying something.
Right. So, and so what all this means is that the P100 may never be utilized in a mainstream consumer device, because they're going through some of the raw computing power, and it's very, very specialized. They even said that, but as at best, the author suspects that we might see some new variant of the Titan based off the P100 in the future, but that could be a long way off. You see, even though NVIDIA is spilling the beans on Tesla P100 today, and the chips are in volume production, NVIDIA doesn't plan on a full retail availability until about the first quarter of 2017. So next year. With the P100 showing up cloud first at an unspecified date, that means we're far more likely to see a GP104 chip that skips everything. And sadly, NVIDIA is not commenting on any future consumer-facing products at this time. So what they're saying is that these new Pascal-type chips, they are incredibly powerful, much, much more powerful than anything in the consumer space that they have right now.
It might stay that way.
But it seems like they're mainly focusing this new technology on providing it to companies that will use it for cloud computing, machine learning, and automation, things like that. So it seems like they're going more for the professional space before they break into the consumer space with these high end chips.
Yeah, which doesn't surprise me. I mean,
but it's so cool to see, the possibilities of these things. I mean, these things put anything on the consumer space to shame. It's crazy fast.
Yeah, that's true. So let me ask you the question: what's better than free 2-day shipping that we get from Amazon? Well, if you're a member of Amazon Prime, same-day delivery is here, and actually they are expanding to 11 more U.S. cities. So basically now Amazon Prime same-day delivery service is now available in 27 metro areas in the United States. Okay, and it's free same-day shipping.
Free as in I'm sure you have to have Amazon Prime.
Yeah, if you have Amazon Prime, that's what you
Which
get.
is $99 a year.
Yeah, right. Prime
worth it.
In Charlotte, Cincinnati, Fresno, Louisville, Milwaukee, Nashville, Central New Jersey, Raleigh, Richmond, Sacramento, Stockton, and Tucson are now privy to free same-day shipping on over 1 million items. We use Amazon Prime so much here in our household, and it's just a.
Unfortunately, we do not live in Charlotte, Cincinnati, Fresno, Louisville, Milwaukee, Nashville, Central New Jersey, Raleigh, Richmond, Sacramento, Stockton, or Tucson.
Nope, not yet. Now, for those keeping track at home, the latest edition brings a total tally to 27 cities for the online retailer's quick delivery. There's a $35 minimum order. Okay, so you want to keep that in mind if you're hoping to receive something before the end of the same day. Amazon says its same-day delivery will drop off orders placed before noon, and it'll be at your home by 9 p.m. in the areas where it's available. To help you find items, which items are included in the one-day shipping option, you can filter products so that a category only displays the stuff that you can have in hand at the end of the day. So there it is, and it just keeps getting better and better. We use it as quite.
Amazon is slowly trying to take over the world, and let's face it, if you have the choice of retailers, something off of eBay that'll get there in 2 weeks and it's going to be a couple dollars cheaper, or if you can deal with the hassle of traffic, people and all that kind of stuff of going down to a retail store and paying a little bit more, or assuming you already have Amazon Prime, have it delivered to your doorstep for free.
It's
a
no-brainer. It's a no-brainer.
Yeah, it makes same-day delivery just that much more attractive.
There you go. One, and hopefully coming to a city near you.
And they said over 1 million products. So, man, I don't know how you do that with 1 million different products.
Well,
impressive. So let's move on over to this story. And this, one I don't think anyone should be surprised about. But if you are a fan of Stars, of course, being one of the premium channels that can come with a cable package traditionally, such as HBO or Cinemax or what have you. And many of those channels that I just rambled off do have their own standalone streaming service. Well, Stars now has one too.
There you go.
So this is yet another premium TV channel, breaks free from the cable bundle, and now has a standalone streaming service with a key point with offline streaming possible. So like you download it offline and then watch it at your convenience.
That's nice.
For $9 a month.
$8.99. Yep.
Yep. So, and of course, this is through iOS, Apple TV, and Android devices. Subscribers can stream Stars TV shows and movies on demand and can also download videos to iOS and Android for offline viewing. That, of course, is a big thing. So, though the app does not offer a live feed of the Stars cable channel, so no live feed, but not a lot of people watch live feeds after they have the a la carte option, anyways.
Yep.
And of course the whole idea of watching these programs by downloading them to your phone and then watching them later offline is that you don't have to take up your data. You could be sitting at home and load up your phone with 3 or 4 episodes of whatever TV show you may be watching. That way you're not streaming it and eating up your data. Otherwise you could just watch it directly off your phone.
Right.
So very cool there. But once users have signed up, they can also access Stars on the web from a PC or Mac, and the company is aiming to support other devices in the near future. So technically, this is not Stars' first venture. It is also available to Amazon Prime subscribers for $9 a month add-on. So if you have Amazon Prime, it was already a $9 a month add-on.
That's
kind of possibility. So, according to their CEO, they have a quote here saying that our programming will now be more widely available to the 20 million broadband-only homes of cord nevers, cord cutters, and cord shavers. Cord shaver, that's a new one. But anyways, including millennials and other underserved consumers who need other viable subscription service options. So, Stars is not alone in chasing this. HBO, of course, has theirs for $15 a month. And of course, HBO also offers this channel as a $15 per month add-on to Dish Network Sling TV streaming service, and along with Cinemax for $10, and Showtime has one for $11. So just to put all those together, 10, 11, 9, 10, 11, and then 15, that adds up to $30, $45. $45 for every premium, or at least the big, the big premium channels. Right. Craig, you are more into the cable packages. How would you say $45 compares to, just adding the premium channel package?
Much more affordable, really.
Much more affordable?
Yeah. I think on average people pay like $100 and some odd a month for the.
And that of course includes basic.
Yes.
Cable packages included, but I was just talking about just the upgrade. It would be pretty comparable.
I would probably be comparable. Yeah, wouldn't know exactly, but probably comparable.
But of course, if you watch television and you watch these premium channels, there's something to be said for having them all in one place in a cable package. So convenience is going to win out there. But if you don't ever plan on getting a cable package, and you really enjoy one of these premium channels lineups, then hey, you now have the option. It's not that, like, it's good to see that these cable companies are realizing that no matter what kind of incentive, no matter what kind of price you can, kind of aim, no matter what kind of marketing you aim at millennials, there's just going to be that segment of the population that is never, ever, ever going to get a cable subscription. So they all finally came around, after HBO, and they said, we're breaking free, but they finally said, okay, we'll come to you and we'll make it somewhat affordable, because $9, that is on par with Netflix, which is of course, the big one. So yeah, if you want to watch Stars, $9 a month, and you have the option.
Yep. All right. Well, I'm just going to deal with this story just really quickly, unless you want to, linger on it more. But This is a story from Ars Technica. There's Congressman Republican Duncan Hunter says his son spent over $1,300 of campaign funds on video games. Okay. And he asked the question, what would you do if you had access to millions of dollars in campaign funds? You'd probably blow some of it on video games, right? Well, that's exactly what happened. With $1,302 of the money, his son basically went to Steam Games and charged it to his campaign account on 68 separate occasions between October 13th to December 16th, with $96 spent in one instance. So
I'm glad he was conservative, because I'll be honest with you, you can spend a lot more than $1,300 on video games.
This is true, but I think the point of this whole article is not that you can spend a lot more or a lot less. The point is that he just spent it and shouldn't have done so.
Oh, absolutely, he should not have done so. I'm just saying. I mean, there's one game, I think it's Tractor Simulator or something like that, that with all the expansions included cost $3,500. I'm saying it could have been worse, but he shouldn't have done it.
Yeah. Well, evidently, basically, he said that that video games shouldn't be used as a scapegoat for real-world violence. The narrative that children and young adults today stare at television and computer screens, developing lethal skills through first-person gaming experiences, disingenuously portrays video games as having a corrosive influence.
What?
This is Hunter who actually said this. But bottom line, what it doesn't say what he did to his son. What his teenage.
He beat him dead. What do you think happened?
He just said he made him pay it back, hopefully, and he says they can't even prove any fraud happened on his part. But they won't be paying anything back pending the outcome of a fraud investigation. We should just probably do this a little bit more. We're up against the break. You're listening to the Computer America Show. We're doing computer and technology news, brought to you by Slimware Utilities. You got a news discipline review coming up as well. We'll be right back. Hi, this is Craig Crossman, host of the Computer America Show. You have important meetings to schedule. Your company's getting ready for its IPO, and you're in charge of the PTA fundraiser this month. So how do you coordinate everyone to be available at the same time? Are you still using emails, phone calls, even text messages to schedule meetings with a group of people? How's that working out for you? Not so great, huh? It's a fact that every day, millions of people suffer from scheduling headaches. Well, with Doodle, scheduling meetings with a group of people is quick and easy. With Doodle, you can easily propose available times to each member. Each one checks off the times that they're available, and then you simply pick the time that works best for the group, all in an easy-to-read display that integrates with your existing calendar. Nothing could be more simple. Give Doodle a try for free, and like millions of Doodle users, you'll truly see how easy it is to find the perfect date and time for all your meetings. That's www.doodle.com. Looking for a best friend? Brother Wolf Animal Rescue has your best friend waiting just for you. The mission of Brother Wolf Animal Rescue is to help build a sustainable, no-kill community where no dogs or cats are ever killed for population control, where true euthanasia is reserved only for animals who are irremediably suffering, or for animals who are truly a threat to society and with no hope of rehabilitation. Brother Wolf staff and volunteers go door to door, neighborhood by neighborhood, to educate citizens about local resources available for at-risk pets and to help their families connect with those resources. Brother Wolf's community-based approach to no-kill helps keep family pets healthy, happy, and in their homes and out of the local shelter system in the first place. For more information or to make a tax-deductible donation to this wonderful 501c3 organization, visit their website at www.bwar.org. Help to realize Brother Wolf's vision when no animal is euthanized for lack of a home.
Who's a good boy?
Why did the raccoon cross the road? I don't know. Must have been suicidal. Hi, Marty Winston with the News Tips Bulletin Review for Computer America. This time, Padco Quiet Rock. This is about hearing through walls, which isn't fun if you're next to a TV room. or a bedroom, or a bathroom. Now there are new kinds of walls that can help reduce that noise, which is a challenge if you think about it, because a wall is really a huge diaphragm. Hebco sent a sample of Quiet Rock ES gypsum, that's a formal term for sheetrock or drywall, with a clever way to decouple sound right inside the board. It's a sandwich of special recipe gypsum with a rubbery viscoelastic polymer layer in the middle. The sound pickup from one side of the wall gets mechanically decoupled from passing through to the other side. Bottom line, Quiet Rock ES can help squelch those noises so nothing annoys us. Marty Winston, News Tips Bulletin for Computer America.
Welcome back to the Computer America Show. It is 33 minutes past the hour, and we are doing computer and technology news brought to you by Slimmer Utilities. And we were just getting into, I guess no one is immune from scandalous behavior. Even a senator, right? A senator's son,
right,
who got his hands in the wrong cookie jar and decided to buy some video games at $1,300. Holy crap!
Yeah, he used
That's a lot of video games.
Yeah, he used his father's credit card for one game, which after several unauthorized charges resulted after the father tried to close access to the website. He said that's a bit of a pat explanation, considering that Steam games were charged to Hunter's campaign account on 68 separate occasions between October and December, with $96 spent in one instance. Now, managing your various payment methods on Steam can be a little difficult, but there's a long time for a parent. That's a long time for a parent to utterly fail at closing access to the website. So, evidently, while the SEC isn't formally investigating Hunter for the charges, his treasurer has until May the 9th to respond to a letter requesting more information about the unauthorized personal use of campaign funds. The expenses are marked in campaign documents as personal expense to be paid back, unquote. But Hunter's spokesperson said that there won't be any paying anything back there pending the outcome of the fraud investigation, depending on how long that takes. Because we can't help but wonder if Hunter will try to make use of Steam's recently implemented refund policy, even if he can't prove any fraud happened on Steam's part. And it doesn't say what else he's going to do as far as the son's concerned. The article is fairly succinct and just doesn't elaborate anymore on it. So I'll keep an eye on this, and if anything more develops, certainly we'll cover that. But right now, I think that's pretty much it.
Don't steal money, folks.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, so from that story, let's go to, from stealing to stealing the imagination. This is going to be one for, please check out the video portion of our show, because it's a very, very cool story.
Very cool.
About, how to turn, this is like the next iteration of those laser decorations that were so popular this Christmas season. Mm-hmm. For the lazy people who didn't feel like, stringing the lights all over their house, you could just buy these little laser projectors and have them shoot, designs and patterns and colors all over your house. And I saw a couple of them. They were pretty cool. Still lazy. I won't lie. But this next iteration though is from Engadget, and 3D projections turn trees into divinities. So again, check out the video portion because we have pictures of just what they're talking about. It's creepy looking.
Yeah, I would expect to see something like this in a much more contemporary popular area like Japan or New York City or something. But having this in a little Phnom Penh in Cambodia, I mean, look at the street. I mean, it's a.
Don't think it's Cambodia.
Okay, well, it says
French. But yeah, so shot for the series. It was shot for the series Cambodian Trees. The image was created by using multiple projectors to turn trees into Phnom Penh. You're right. Cambodia into light sculptures. You're right.
Yeah.
In Phnom Penh in Cambodia.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely, you're right. So Bren's 3D projections are created quite organically. He starts with an idea and then slowly works the projection points by hand until you have what you see above take shape. And by above, you see this picture. One of them kind of looks like a panda to me.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah. So, but yeah, the sculptures depict divinities and other supernatural beings. So, this is called animism, and magic are part of Cambodian culture, and Cambodian trees plays with those themes by casting these forms into trees within urban landscapes. Breen connects the natural with the magical, and the city to the spiritual. So yeah, and of course it's an ongoing feature. As he said, he's an artist who's doing this, and it's super cool to consider that this is not Photoshop whatsoever. This is someone taking the time and essentially sculpting the light into trees.
Mhm. It looks very cool. It really does. You have to see the picture though to really understand it, but it does look very lifelike.
Well, no, I would say it even goes the other way. It looks very fake. It looks very.
Well, trees are alive, with faces. Faces on trees.
I know it almost looks cartoonish, but to realize that this is that this is real and that he's able to make these projections look like this is very, very impressive.
It is very impressive. Maybe we'll see more of it. Maybe
I'm hoping like this is the next iteration of what like this year's laser light decorations are.
Yeah.
I'm hoping this is like the next iteration where you could have like little movies playing out on your house instead of just points of light.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, we'll see. I don't see why not. And speaking of things that are coming alive from inanimate objects, how about a tablet that basically you're holding a tablet and it turns into a Transformers robot? This is cool. Evidently, Hasbro, who are the makers of the Transformers, and a Chinese
they do hold the copyright for Transformers.
And a Chinese company launched a crowdfunding campaign to fund its production. Basically, Xiaomi and Hasbro gave Soundwave, the Transformers robot that can turn into a micro cassette recorder, a makeover fit for the new era. So instead of turning into a micro cassette recorder, now it's a tablet. The two companies teamed up to create a tablet that unfolds into a shiny 190 millimeter version of the Decepticon. So basically, they worked hard to ensure that its color, details, and feel are exactly the same as the MyPad 2. MyPad 2. You'll need a bit of a puzzle. You'll have to be a bit of a puzzle lover to enjoy assembling and disassembling it, since it takes 30 steps to each time to do so. But that just makes it a more fun toy to play with. Then you can see the back of it too. It's very, very intricate. He says, of course, that would have been better if the tablet actually works. But hey, the transforming gadget costs only about $26. At least that's the smallest amount its crowdfunding backers could pledge to get one. And if you're hoping for a wider release, cross your fingers, because it's not entirely impossible when the company's campaign raised over thrice its goal. Okay, so there it is. So this is still a campaign project on Kickstarter, but it looks like it's a very cool idea, it's bringing the robot that used to be the Decepticon was a cassette recorder, and now it's actually becoming a tablet, moving into the 21st century.
Yeah, I remember back in the good old days, like they did have more complex Transformer toys that were available to kids, but those kind of gave way to maybe a younger audience. But like the amount of steps that went into making Transformers went from 15, 20 steps. It went down to like 3 steps to turn a Transformer into, either the car or the animal or whatever into the robot form. And seeing this one as 30, admittedly, $26. It's definitely toy range. It's not a working tablet, sadly, but it's definitely cool.
It's cute.
All right. Okay. So after such a cute story, let us go on to something a little bit more heartbreaking. Let's do this one. Let's do No, that's not good. All right, let's do this one. This one is a VR. Okay, they use the term VR virgin. Let's hope that doesn't catch on. Because that seems demeaning. But a VR virgin, as in someone who has never used VR before, watches the NCAA or college basketball, essentially, title game in virtual reality, and he lasts about 8 minutes. So this is from Popular Science, Matt Giles, and yeah. So for the first time ever, the NCAA offered fans a different way to view the tournament championship between North Carolina and Villanova, which is in virtual reality. So on Monday night, everyone with a Samsung Galaxy smartphone and a Samsung Gear VR headset got a front row seat to what ultimately became the greatest title game in the past 15 years. So yeah, the North Carolina entered the championship as the favorite, but the contest was more seesaw than one-sided. The game transcended the boundaries of merely being another division title game, thanks to two incredible shots from the closing moments, including a buzzer breaker 3-point field goal from the Wildcats' Chris Jenkins. So, spoiler if you had not seen it.
Yeah.
But yeah. So this isn't the first time VR has happened. We have seen that the virtual reality video campaign Next VR outfitted the Big East tournament, which we saw with VR cameras. And yeah, people who had the $99 Facebook's VR headset could watch that.
Mm-hmm.
But here we have the first impression from someone who actually watched it through the Gear VR, saying that my first impression, this is going to be a very exciting way to watch sports going forward. He's saying that you are essentially courtside and you can fully appreciate the player's athleticism and speed from that vantage point. That's interesting. Yeah. Because I know that whenever I flip past basketball while I'm trying to look for cartoons, it really doesn't seem like that much. Like these guys are almost godlike in that they're 6'8", 6'6", 6'4", and it seems like they just cross the entire basketball court in 4 steps. It's like 1, 2, 3, 4, and then they're already at the they're already at their hoop. So he's saying that by essentially being courtside, you really get a different feel than if you were watching on basic television or even up in the stands. You're much more tuned in.
There's a little bit. There is a bit of a lag though between the live game and the streaming.
Right. Yeah. He's saying that, but using the headset and the app, you could truly understand each player's individual skill set than if you were seated even a few rows from the court. He's saying that the slight lag was kind of sucky for a live game, but something that we're going to have to overcome in the coming years. It's definitely for first generation. What are you going to do?
And there's something else you're going to have to overcome too. Evidently, he can only wear this headset for about 8 minutes before he had to take it off his head just to rub his eyes because it was straining his eyes.
Well, he said that he had been concentrating so intently on catching all the action that he developed a slight headache. But that might just be an issue of being a VR virgin, as he calls it, and having previously never used a headset. So as the technology becomes more widespread, this likely won't be an issue. And I think that has something to do with the way that we watch television nowadays, is that when you watch television, you kind of look at a kind of flat square, a picture, and we've kind of trained ourselves, because let's face it, we have in some cases like Craig 40 years 50 years of watching a television and seeing everything on screen, really digesting that everything that is on screen was meant to be seen for a reason. With virtual reality, it's not the same way, because if it's filmed in a 360-degree view, it's just not that important. Just like in real life, I'm sitting here doing the show, and looking 180 degrees behind me, there's just a green screen. Like there's nothing to see back there. But there's that part of your brain that when you wear VR, when I tried it, I could definitely tell that you want to look around everywhere and kind of take it in like you would a TV screen, but you kind of have to use it like your own natural eyes, that you just see the point of action and then and then you lock into that. Not everything, you lock into just what you want to see. So that's going to take some getting used to, as you said. As someone who has only ever used it for this purpose, he said it gave him a little bit of a headache, but that should go away with more use. So, and he wraps up by saying, it's hard not to envision going to a VR-themed sports bar and being able to plug your headset into a console and watching a game while surrounded by others. It may seem like a dystopia, but he'd much rather watch a game from the sidelines for the cost of a headset and a smartphone than have to pay hundreds to do so live. So he's saying that the trade-offs, definitely outweigh the costs of what you're getting. If it's the Gear VR and all that kind of stuff, like the headset itself is like $99, and then hopefully you have the Gear phone, the Samsung Gear or Galaxy phone to slip into it, and that costs $300-400 with a plan. But hey, paying $300-400 is much cheaper than say $700 or $800 to a real basketball game, or even thousands to sit courtside at a basketball game such as the finals.
And as you mentioned, you are sitting courtside, which is not everybody really gets an opportunity to do that. That's usually for the people with deep pockets, and then now this
very deep pockets. And let's face it, each basketball game only has 50 to 100 seats courtside.
Yeah, exactly. And now all of a sudden you find yourself in that elite category of being able to actually afford that and see it. So it really it gives you a unique perspective, that something you may not have been able to afford, and now all of a sudden here you can do it. So,
but it is kind of cool to to see that someone who is into sports seeing potential for virtual reality in sporting events, and watching sporting events with virtual reality. That's because let's face it, sports and technology, you're either a jock or a nerd. Of course, that's completely oversimplifying it, but you really don't get to hear too much about the exciting possibilities of sporting events with virtual reality. So to hear him say it has potential is definitely a good thing to hear.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we have time maybe for one more story, and I want to do this one because we really didn't get into it yesterday, and I wanted to. Basically, there was a big hubbub over the hub from Revolve. Revolve is this hub that allows people to use, the Internet of Things in their home, devices that are attached to the Revolve smart home hubs. You can actually control them remotely. It's the Internet of Things. Well, evidently Nest said, okay, if you're using a Revolve hub with our products, we're not going to support them at the end of the month. And that was it. And it was this big hubbub, hey, what's going on? How could you do that? You're just dropping us. And Nest said, sorry, you're out of luck. Well, evidently, that caused a PR nightmare for them. And evidently Nest has responded. It's according to Jared Newman from from Techguy, excuse me. He says Nest has responded to claims that it's stranding its users of the Revolve smart home hubs, which will cease to function next month. Again, Revolve, whose hub can control a wide range of other connected home products, was acquired by Nest in 2014, and Nest immediately discontinued the product. But at the same time, they promised existing customers that their hubs would still work. Well, evidently that changed. They changed their tune. They began notifying customers that the hubs and companion app would stop working on the 15th of May, and that caused basically making the entire smart home device would be useless. So a Nest representative said, interviewed to The Verge, that the company has been helping affected customers all along. We've been working with a small number of Revolve customers on a case-by-case basis since we sent out the first customer notification in February to determine the best resolution, including compensation. Oddly enough, he wrote that that this person who was making all the noise, that he was never notified about the upcoming shutdown, It's also unclear if Nest's compensation amounts to the full $300 that Revolver users originally paid for their hubs, or just enough money to buy an alternative solution, sort of like Samsung's SmartThings hub, which costs $99. In any case, Nest has now put out a call to Revolve users on its Twitter support account, encouraging them to email so we can, quote, find the best solution for your needs, unquote. Now, he goes on to say that the whole ordeal couldn't have come at a worse time for Nest. Last month, the information dropped a bombshell out of place about Nest's internal struggles, describing executive clashes, an exodus of talent, and failure to ship new products. Meanwhile, Google, which effectively owns Nest through a parent company, Alphabet, has been pushing ahead with its own smartphone platform, along with consumer products such as the on-hub router and a rumored Amazon Echo rival. Google is notorious for A/B testing products on a massive scale, and if its own smart home efforts prevail, the situation with Revolve raises serious questions about what might happen to Nest users down the road. I have I have a Nest camera. To find out all these things that all of a sudden it's not working with this hub, this could be a real mess for them. Nest has not been cooperative. I even contacted Nest to try to get them on the show, and just got a quick little note saying, sorry, we're not doing any press in that. We're not doing any press interviews. So I tried to get them to appear on Computer America, and basically they said no. So not the most PR-oriented company. This comes to me at no surprise, really.
We've seen this with a lot of companies that when they get to a certain size, they at least from a press standpoint, they really don't do that much, and I think they'd rather control the narrative by only doing press events that they sanction. Like they don't want to come on and talk about controversies about their internal, employee struggles.
I didn't invite them for that. I just came. I wanted to talk about the Nest and the thermostat, and they just introduced the camera at the time, and I said, "Oh, come on, let's talk about it." They were not interested in doing any of that. There's nothing to do with this controversy. It was just to come on and talk about their products. They didn't want to. And any company that doesn't want free publicity about their products makes me question the validity of the company. It really, very strange. They just turned it down. It's like they don't want to publicize. They don't want to promote.
Well, I don't know. Apple doesn't come on. You don't badmouth them.
Actually, Apple. No, have had Apple been on the show before. Apple's been on the show a number of times.
Google's been on the show before.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, I wasn't badmouthing. I'm just telling them that they refuse to come on the program. I think they refuse to coming on any program at this point. I don't care if
I think so too. I think they're only doing their own sanctioned press events.
Yeah, exactly. But anyway, so the Revolve hub user controversy, I don't think has been solved. I think so. They're taking it on a one-by-one basis, but they're not offering any path, from what I can see at this time, to either get a full refund or some alternative method.
Yep. And let's squeeze one more story in here. It's a feel-good story. Don't worry, folks. And this is from the folks over at Twitter. Website Jezebel, actually, but and Hillary Crowsley Coker. So Twitter will offer employees 20 weeks paid family leave.
Wow.
So this is always good to hear that on May 1st, Twitter will start offering both male and female employees 20 weeks paid parental leave. So as with ET, Netflix, and Facebook, the company seems to have realized that people who feel like their home life is in balance tend to do better at work. So this is Twitter's newly appointed VP of Inclusion and Diversity said that this change aims to expand how we think about parental leave because primary caregiving is something that's hard to define. So put another way, both parents should be able to spend time taking care of their newborn together as a team for both of their sakes and the newborns as well. Yeah. So Twitter's announcement comes as San Francisco's Board of Supervisors mulls over a new law requiring private companies to offer their employees 6 weeks of paid parental leave. So city employees are already eligible for 12 weeks of paid parental leave. But, there's been study after study after study that, yes, traditionally, and I think in today's society, that we kind of expect women to balance having an active career as well as balancing raising, having being the primary caregiver for the child. But study after study after study have shown that there are a lot of benefits to having, the male counterpart home as well. Instead of just Thursday have the baby, Friday stay home with the baby, and then next Monday comes into work and starts working while there's a 4-day-old in the household.
Mm-hmm.
Study after study after study has shown that the baby bonds better with with the father. The father has more influence on the baby, and it's just better all around. So it's always good to see more companies taking this approach.
Right, exactly. Well, that about wraps up the show. Again, thanks to all of you for being here. Tomorrow, we're going to have a very interesting show. In the first hour, we're going to be talking to Rivet. They make something called the Killer Network products, which basically delivered an unprecedented speed, intelligence, and control for gamers and performance users alike. They have things like advanced stream detect and
90
extreme range
seconds.
technology. They are really standing out in the networking community, and we're going to have the company CEO is going to be joining us in the first hour, and that's Mike Cubbage, who is the CEO of the company. Spoke to him a little bit today, and we're going to get into killer networking and and their products. And then in the
802.11 AC, I'm sure will be
absolutely
talked about.
Yeah, exactly. And then the second hour, we're going to have Zolt on the
60
show.
seconds.
They make a Zolt laptop chargers and products that allow you to charge your products much more quickly. Stephen Gibson is going to be joining us on that show. He's the Vice President of Global Marketing for Zolt. So it's going to be a very interesting show tomorrow afternoon. And again, thanks to all of you for being here. Thanks again to Mike Cermak for being here as well. And thanks to all of you for being with us here on Computer America. And Ben and I will see you same time, same place, same station. So until tomorrow afternoon, this is Craig Crossman, hoping that your hard disk never becomes floppy. We'll see you tomorrow afternoon.
Have a good one, everyone.
Woohoo!
10 seconds. Thank you for using Blog Talk Radio. Goodbye.
Okay, again, thanks for watching, and we'll see you tomorrow afternoon on Thursday. Have a great day. Bye.
Bye, everyone.